The as-is situation is that, well, first of all, every company, some companies, they have no data at all. Yeah? Think about many also small and medium enterprises. Yeah? They have really challenged to get any data right now. Even larger corporations, by the way, not just only small and medium enterprises. But then, even if data are available, data are requested in a very, very different shape and forms. So every company's, brand owner who may be affected by digital product passport may have its own system, its own query, its own also digitalized platform to collect data, but every company will have a different way to get this type of data and request this type of data. In some cases, the request is happening also with a lot of manual efforts, right? Email request at best, right? Or you transfer data as a PDF, so as a static document which is not machine readable, right? And always looks all different. And then imagine what would be the cost to manage a system which is so unstandardized, non-standardized. Therefore, we believe that the old story, the old narrative, will only work if there is, in fact, an horizontal, unified approach when it comes to vocabularies, ontologies, definitions of metrics, and how these metrics are calculated for chemical raw materials. And think about a very big danger that we have ahead of us because of the fact that DPPs are requested by multiple policy files, which are different, handled by different people, right? And different, even inside ESPR, different delegated acts, right? Different coming in different stages. There is a big risk that for every, let's say, product type, there would be a silo approach with a way to ask data differently, define data differently, data points differently, and just imagine how an upstream industry like the chemical industry can ever cope with such nightmarish complexity. Therefore, the key points of my presentation and the key points behind also the work of this initiative that I will introduce soon is drive standardization, horizontal standardization or harmonization of metrics when it comes to chemical intermediates. So let's unveil Project Chem-X. So Project Chem-X is a public funded project. It has been started basically at end of last year. It's running since about 1 year, not much, but almost. And we'll have still another year to go. It is a project which is encompassing a significant cross-section of the chemical sector, not just through the direct project partners, but also through the associated partners, like, for example, you see also association like Together for Sustainability, which have a very broad global membership of chemical companies, which are all involved in driving this horizontal standardization that I was describing before. Last but not least, and this is also an important message, we don't have just chemical companies in the Chem-X initiative, but we also have tech players like Siemens, Nina, your company is also involved, but also SAP and a few others, which are perhaps more specialized on the digital product passport in order to make this whole project a success. What is Chem-X? Chem-X is, as the number betrays, is part of the umbrella project called Manufacturing X. So there are other X initiatives. The most famous one is probably better known to you if you are knowledgeable about this, is Catena X in the automotive space. But there are many others X initiatives in other sectors, all with the intent to create digital ecosystems to make data digitally flow in industries and value chains. And Chem-X is exactly part of it and focusing on the chemical industry, serving, you could say, 95% of the manufacturing space. What is Chem-X working on? So I was trying to see how can we slice the elephant of the chemical digital twin in a manageable form. Okay, you need some foundational technical layer. So you need to have a common way to identify businesses, identify materials, so unique material identifiers. You need to have a way to verify data, to have a kind of know your supplier type of identification approach. So this is the technical data space foundation, which is, you could say, chemical independent, right? So this is technical layer which should rely on this manufacturing X standards, and what also the JTC 24 for the EU has been now developing form of standards, SEN standards, very recently. But then, well, it's nice to have a tech foundation, but if you have a table, but the number inside cannot be compared, as Sonia was saying, then you are only halfway. So you need to have also a content layer, standard harmonization, so to ensure that the data inside the passport are comparable when it comes to chemical raw materials or chemical intermediates. So that's the second layer Chem-X is working on, and here the role of the Association Together for Sustainability is very central. And then, as a topping of this work, it's the application layer. Chem-X technically is not delivering software products, so this will be provided by the free market, software market, providing digital product passport tools. Some of them are already available. More will certainly come in the future. But important is all these tools work on a standardized content layer, tech layer. So therefore, this is important to have the foundation, this 2-layer below. And this application layer will be touched upon by Project Chem-X as a way to engaging, let's say, startups and enabling startups to provide some demonstrator and show how Chem-X can be brought to life. The digital material passport can contain every sort of information. For now, let's say if we just restrict to what are the requirements of the ESPR or other product regulations, they're mainly information about sustainability, circularity, and so LCA metrics, circularity metrics, but also substance of concern, a presence of substance of concern. But the principle can be expanded to every type of product data in the future, if needed. And the final message that, as a recap, I want to give you is that we believe that the Project Chem-X is an important step to contribute, and have the industry as a contributor to a solution, right? And not a problem creator, but a problem solver. So how can we contribute as an industry by standardization and harmonization to circularity and sustainability, ensure compliance and make it bearable, and also, at the end of the day, enhance the competitiveness of our industry in Europe and beyond by avoiding a siloed approach with every single industry imposing different approach, or every single regulation impose a different approach to chemical.